Hello there. So, need to do a little more talking. Oh, yes, it is political. Um, Vance pretty much has dropped the ball and for them and basically told the truth that they made it up. And on an interview on the air, he basically said, "Well, listen, Dana, you know, we were just trying to bring attention to something that nobody was paying any attention to." That's a lie. And he just admitted they just inflated something that, something that somebody heard it from a friend who heard it from a friend who heard it from another. You've been messing around, kind of thing. Uh, for any of those REO Speedwagon fans out there, um, as Democrats have been saying all along, that's not true. Even the Republicans, and that's a red town, and they were saying that's not true. The Haitians, if it weren't for the Haitians moving in, our town was dying. It was drying up, and we needed people to do these jobs, and Haitians agreed to come and save the town, basically revive the town, as long as they were giving temporary citizenship type of thing, which is fair. You're going to come and invest your effort and your family and your years there, and save a town in a country that doesn't want to have you stay forever. Okay, you helped us, now go away now that we're doing okay. F no. So yeah, they had every right to have that deal made with Ohio, with that town. And it's going to be ridiculous. In fact, Laura Looner, she actually wrote that no, Haitians aren't eating cats and dogs. They're eating human sheets. I have a screenshot of that post of hers. Uh, this is getting ridiculous. And do not be fooled by Marjorie Green. Everybody's saying it's shocking. She's actually saying she's too MAGA. The only reason Marge is taking shots at Laura and saying, "Oh, she isn't fit to be around the campaign." All right, she already wanted to have her little cult daddy man crush rapist felon that she's crushing on have his arm around her waist. And then they got into a kerfuffle with Groper, Lauren Bober, and Margie there. Margie, I have family values, but I cheated on my husband with 3 men over numerous years. Oh, I'm sorry. Um, because Beaupert was getting very mouthy until the Beetlejuice debacle. And then she got real quiet for a while, especially after she got slapped down in some meetings that were televised. What's that on there? Yeah, she got slapped down in school by Jamie Raskin, a couple others. Oh, Crockett, yeah, Jasmine Crockett schooled her nice and good, nice and oh yeah, of course. Moskowitz, I think, might have schooled her too. Well, he schooled both of them, I think, more than once. But she's got her panties in a knit, because once that Beetlejuice debacle kind of got Lauren Bober out of. Plus, then she was changing her district too because she was no way she's gonna win in District 3. Um, Her district hates her because she's done nothing for them. And she was a menace. Her family was a menace before they broke up in that neighborhood. Anyway, so Marge thought once Bober effed herself with her antics that if you remember, she was wearing that red dress where she had that little pot belly in, that I mocked her. Not that I usually mock people for appearances, just because I knew it would get under her skin because she's vain. And that's the only reason I did it. I wanted to get under her skin and irk her. And I mocked her on like every post on Facebook. Every single one. I put up that picture and say, "Look a little fat. Are you pregnant? Aren't you divorced?" Just being a bitch. Being a major troll. But every now and then I can't resist, and I have to throw in a not necessarily factual, but my opinion dig. Hey, I try to be a good person, but sometimes the cheap shots are so fucking easy and so perfect. Sometimes I just have to. Okay, sometimes I go low and I take that pot shot. When it dances in front of me and for days on end and won't shut up, I am finally going to take that pot shot. If they would just shut up and go out of the cycle, out of the news cycle for a bit, I'd forget. But when any of them want to be stupid. Do you hear the blue jay? The squirrels on it right now. I should be taking a video for you guys. Anyway, yeah, so this whole Laura Loomer thing, the only reason, see, I didn't forget. I went back. The only reason Marge has her nose out of joint is because now she has Donald's arm around her waist, not Marge. And she got bumped out of the frame. What Marge doesn't understand, number one, is Marge doesn't wear enough makeup or have enough plastic surgery to have the look that Donald and all those, wealthier dickwads, they seem to have that light. They like that look. You should see the way it wasn't Laura Loomer before all her freaking plastic surgery was not a bad looking woman at all. And in her natural look, Kimberly, I call her Gargoyle. I know her name is Guilfoyle. But when she was with Gavin Newsom, when she was married to him, she looked like naturally pretty woman. Now she looks like a gargoyle with all this Botox and stuff. Laura Trump, it was the same way before she was like with the Trump group, the plastic fakes, no substance, all what things appear as on paper and physically. That's all people matter. And not only that, but they're that whole what is considered beautiful is just plastic's beautiful. I have things that I think are more desirable than plastic that you can look at and feel. Look far more desirable than plastic. Trust me. So, I don't understand that, but yeah, go. If you follow me on Facebook, my name Judy Eckes. And you'll see some of the graphics that I've done. I just put some up. And also, there's a Facebook page. If it's a political thing or something, Democrats are democracy's future. Um, there's, I think, like four or five, maybe six, I don't know. I think it's about four of the different people, like before and after, like their transformation once they started associating with MAGA. And I know it sounds ridiculous that people physically change when their political perspective and their moral perspectives shift um, to the more base, the more negative, stuff. Uh, the natural instinctive knee jerk, me first, get out of my effing way. Look at me, pick me. Marge nose is out of joint because she's a pick me girl as far as Donald Trump. I mean, this is the woman that had the life size cardboard cutout at speeches she'd carry around, you know, and it was a cardboard cutout of a photo from when he was like probably in his 40s or something, and she would always go like this while she's talking, right in his crotch area. And she'd be like, "Yeah, see right there." I mean, that was before even her divorce. That's just disgusting. It's fucking disgusting. The Family Values Party? Oh, please gag me. Hell no. That is why March has, you know, spoken out against Laura Loomer. Because other Republicans that are maggish were denouncing it. So she's like, oh yeah, I have fucked up so much. I should look like an actual Republican. Yeah, me too. That's the only reason she piped her little mouth up. And somehow she'll manage to, and so will Lindsey Graham and everybody else, they'll manage to completely um, display the opposite and be like fawning on Laura or whatever the hell if Donald does not continue, if he continues to have her as a hanger on, cozying up and shit, knowing cameras are taking that, then that's their answer. And they'll flip and eventually accept it. They won't like it, but they will accept it and greet her with open arms to the movement. Because Donnie says to. And if you don't think that sounds like a king or a dictator, then I don't know what the fuck a king or a dictator sounds like. Because that's exactly what they sound like. Was the second one staged? I don't necessarily think the first one was even staged. I do think that the 223 did not even clip his ear. I believe I've shot 223s and I've seen the damage they do even going past something. I mean, those things are like this big, those, the entire bullet. They're not little slugs, okay? They're a chunk. And they go fast. And something going fast, even going past something, if it's going that fast, it can nick stuff. But I don't think it was the bullet that nicked him. I think it was a splatter from something that kind of maybe, whipped a piece of plastic from the teleprompter. I don't know if maybe even glass, if the teleprompter, glass exploded or not. But I'm not necessarily convinced that was staged. I think the whole thing is neither one of the shooters had anything Democrat related. They were in fact both registered Republicans. The first one was killed by the Secret Service. Now the second one, obviously, he didn't even get a shot out. Trump didn't even get to that he was on the golf course. He didn't even get to that hole. You know, people are saying, "Oh, if it wasn't set up to the Republic or the Democrats to kill him, how did they know he was going to golf? It wasn't a planned golfing trip. He just decided to do it that morning." I'm like, "Come on! It. Where else would he be on a Sunday morning? He's not going to be in church. I mean, where is he whenever he's upset? If he's not in front of his cameras venting and, you know, gesticulating and flipping out, spit flying like that one." He was so furious. Um, the guy stands behind a bulletproof shield. I mean, come on, guys. I both people cited unhappiness with the Republican Party or with the MAGA Trump movement, disillusioned by them, and basically you didn't do like you said. You said everybody would be able to just stand out and say racist and bigoted things, and all of those people were going to be in prison, and you already had those 4 years, and people are still coming in, and people are still doing this, and we didn't get to do any of that stuff, and I'm just angry now, and now you want another chance? Fuck you. That's kind of what that last guy was kind of saying. So, plus he just liked hostility and violence, obviously, because he tried to go fight in Ukraine. So, okay, and these are the people, before they go this nuts, that were right in rank with all the other MAGAs that believed everything. They're just in the in between of they're disillusioned, and the next step would be to be opposed to the Republican Party in a sane way, in a rational way. But yeah, can't blame this one on us. And I gotta tell you, karma's working faster than the DOJ, because you know, Trump is the one that galvanized MAGA with the abortion to not only regulate guns stricter. Not only didn't he do that, but he loosened regulations on companies, thus train accidents, with massive chemical leaks and shit. Excuse me. And I told you in another video, the reason they will never agree to a national mental health program is because Marjorie Green, at I think it was a Nick Fuentes event, a white supremacist event, she said Republicans will never agree to a national mental health effort, because then those libtards will just use it to let their transgenders and their abortions have reasons to happen. So folks, they never, I said this in another one, but I just want to make sure people see it. They never intend to do that. And we know the reason they will never regulate guns and always loosen them when they get the chance and let high capacity. There is no reason. Even hunting does not use high capacity magazines, nor do they need high capacity weapons, because that just shreds up. And you know, if you're using it for actual eating or for trophy, you don't want it shredded up. So there is no reason for them. And no, it's not like there'll still be less guns with mental health, because the good guys with the guns means not the people that are trying to murder, rape, and and steal from you. So all the others with the guns that aren't trying to do that, well, they have mental health issues, and that's the problem. That they never intend to do anything for national mental health. Well, and they do what they do with the guns. Anybody with any intelligence and critical thinking skills can see that those are going to clash eventually, and it's going to be massive, and it's going to be bloody on both sides, because that cannot live concurrently. They cannot. Eventually, it's not. And here it is, but it's hitting them. And we've heard it said before, and I've said it before. Sometimes, sometimes karma gets you, and we get to see it. And am I happy? No, I'm not happy. How about the possible attempt? But it's your own fault. You won't regulate the weapons. You won't do anything for mental health. Trump himself. Democrats tried to keep people that have had a history of like domestic violence or mental health from getting at least the AR-15, AK-47 type of assault rifles. At least keep them from getting those. And Trump and the MAGA Republicans fought tooth and nail and refused to relent and had the majority. And, well, just like people say, well, you didn't say anything when they were attacking and, the blacks because you weren't black, so it didn't matter to you. And you didn't do anything with, you know that one when they did it to the Jews, and that you didn't say, and they didn't do it when they came for the transgenders, and you didn't fight for them because it didn't matter to you. And then when your sort were the only ones left, there was nobody to fight for you either. So you get what you give, you sow what you reap. Cliches are cliches because they have a base of truth in it. And if you Republicans and you MAGAs don't like that, tough shit. You dug your bed, you made your bed, you dug your little trench, you piss in your trench. That is your bed that you made. That is what you have created. And now finally, no, I am not happy about violence of any type, but finally, your effed up fucking laws and refusals to enforce or relent on, depending on the law, has finally caught up and gotten one of your own. Literally in the crosshairs. And now you're all up in arms about it. Well, if you hadn't been some greedy little bastards who let the lobbyists and your fear of transphobia and your bigotry and your racism, you let that lead you, and that is the road it led you down. And if you actually had read the Bible that you claimed to follow, you would have known it would lead you down to that road. But of course you don't follow your Bible. You only follow the Bible in the murderous, rapey, adultery, get your daddy drunk and fuck him to get pregnant with his own child from his own child type of stuff. You follow the Bible on that, but nothing about stones and glass houses or don't do this, or the 10 Commandments, which your little cult daddy has broken every single one of them, and I have proof of that. So does everybody else. So no, I don't. And yes, he is. Thou shalt not kill. He encouraged, knowing that they had a gallows. He enjoyed it. He wanted him to get killed. I'm sorry, but that's guilty of, because if he had had his choice, and the cops had not prevailed, and everybody else that was finally sent in, um, because Donald Trump refused to call for anybody as the president, and that was his responsibility. That was only by sheer miracle that we got that beat down. That's the miracle. That's where God was, if God was anywhere in this. Not keeping you from getting shot by a bullet, little Don the Con. You're not Teflon Don anymore. That little Teflon that you've been scraping for decades, it's finally flaking. And we all know what the reports and investigations on Teflon that is finally flaking and being eaten in the food was harmful to humans. Oh my, imagine that. So, yeah. Thanks, Karma. Hey, he didn't die, so shut up. Isn't that what you guys say? Hey, it's not what could have, it's what did, and he didn't get shot. So, we can be just as much of an assholes, just as much bitches as you guys are. But our first reaction, both times, was, oh God, at least he didn't get hit. At least he's okay. Because we are people, and we don't want to hear anybody was killed. But may I remind you what all of you and Trump recently made fun still of Paul Pelosi, and he literally nearly died. He got actually nearly murdered. So, yeah. Did I get it? Didn't get the fly. Don Jr. made a joke and posted a pair of underwear and a hammer and said he had his Halloween costume ready. Just recently, Donald Trump, said something about talking about border walls and all that shit again, and said something about, talking about walls. Pelosi had a wall, it didn't matter to her. Mickey, how's her husband Paul doing? Obviously mocking it, rubbing it in. That somebody got close to someone. And that's fucked up, because Paul Pelosi was never even in politics. It was Nancy they were looking for, but he just took it out on them. That is the way sort of people they are. They look for somebody, they can't find them to take their anger out, so they just take it out on anybody that's there. That's not mature. Certainly not the leader of a country mature. And you didn't see any Democrat making any of those kind of jokes either time, did you? Mm-mm. No. Yeah. So anyway, just so you know, Laura Luma is still pushing, and she's saying that they're eating humans now. And I've got the proof, I've got the graphics I made with that proof. So hop on over to Facebook and check that out. Democrats are democracy's future. Well, Democrats are democracy's future is probably about right now, because the Republican Party is not your old Republican Party. It has no civility. It has absolute immaturity, greed, narcissism in a lot of them, and it's inappropriate for governmental positions. And I don't want to say we need to purge that shit, but we need purge it, eradicate. All of that sounds really genocidal, but hopefully you understand how I mean that. We need to expel that shit from our government. You know, it has no place there. It's only giving a legitimate voice to bigotry, which is transphobia, racism, all of this greed, letting all these fossil fuels that are destroying the country, and they just are being recalcitrant. They don't want to restart companies with water, solar, wind stuff, and so they're fighting over it. Um, and that's why they buy, instead of spending the money to just convert, they're spending all the money buying off politicians to continue the way they're already doing. All that money can just be spent to convert to a different power. What the hell? I do think we need to go the way kind of like UK does, as far as you don't spend, there's no RNC, there's no DNC. Each party gets X amount from the government for the entire, every state, everybody, and you figure out how it's metered out. If Republicans want to be greedy like the Donald thing, and nobody gets any funds for the smaller positions, and it all goes up there to deluge everybody, and only Democrats win because they shared equally. Well, that's just because Republicans can't share, even with each other. So, you know, that's not our fault. But that would make a lot of and any church that donates to a party or a candidate, or even speaks politics of any sort in and around their church and their teachings and their services, online or off, phone or any of that, if they do any kind of representing, speaking of politics at all, they lose their tax deduction. End of story. No long court shit. Did they do it? Is there proof? Okay. Pay taxes. That's the end of it. Those two things really, really, really need to be stopped. And if they do where there's a national amount for each party and nobody can donate, that would stop at least them donating, churches donating. Because right now it's who can get the most money and be the most of an asshole. And that's not working anymore, because now we have people like the Republicans have in office and have had. So, just some thoughts to, bounce off y'all, because I don't know. What do you think about some of the shit I've said? And yeah, I said shit because I don't mean it as it's just a bunch of shit I'm talking. It's, you know how I meant it. What do you think? Because it feels like we shouldn't even having to discuss this stuff. It's so juvenile and shouldn't be in adult politics. And I'm disgusted and surprised nonetheless every freaking time we have to discuss something that grown adults should not be discussing because it doesn't exist in politics. But alas, it does exist, so we have to discuss it. Idiocracy the movie. If you never saw it, you really should see it. Because I've been saying it since Trump got in. I was, when Reagan got in, an actor. I mean, that doesn't mean just because you're a musician or an artist or something, doesn't mean you're not, a thinker either. I'm just, you know, then we got Arnold. I mean, now it's, but now it wasn't even that. Then we get to people like Trump. Good God, we can't have any more like him, or God forbid, worse. Somebody with the exact same type of greedy narcissism, but actually is smart. That terrifies me. Anyway, have a great day. Peace out.